I've got an amazing story to share about a father and a son who were talking, and the father asks the son, how many friends do you have? The son starts thinking, or starts counting. There's this one, there's that one. He says, I've got about 200 friends. And this is, by the way, before Facebook. This is pre-Facebook days. Probably with Facebook would be like 2,000 friends. But pre-Facebook was 200 friends. And this was about the Roman Empire time period. And his father's like, wow, 200 friends. That's amazing. So it's like, well, I mean, again, how many friends do you have? So the father starts to think. He says, having a real friend, a real friendship is hard to come by. I don't know, maybe, I don't even think I have one. I think I have half a friend. You can put me down for half a friend. It sounds like, what? What are you talking about? Everyone likes you. You're so friendly. You're so likable. You have so many nice character traits. What do you need half a friend? And the son says, well, I mean, how do I know if my 200 friends are really friends? So the father says, well, should we do an experiment? So he says, sure. So they find an animal who was no longer alive, and they take some of the blood, put it on a shirt, and the son starts to go to his friends' homes. And he says to them, I got into a fight with this guy. Things got out of hand. I accidentally killed him. Body's out back. Could you help me, bury the body and hide the evidence? Now, you have to understand that in the Roman Empire, there was no judge. There was no jury. If you're out of line, your life is over. If you're aiding and abetting a criminal, your life is over. It doesn't really matter who's right, who's wrong. You had to be very, very careful. And sure enough, one friend after another said, get out of my house. Pretend you don't know me. Quickly wipe away any dripping blood from that shirt. I haven't seen you. You haven't seen me. And all 200 of them turned him down. He goes home to his father, all depressed. He says, Dad, I can't believe it. I don't have any real friends. Well, what about you? What about your half a friend? The father says, well, why don't you try him? So the son goes over to his father's half friend's house. He tells him, I'm so-and-so's son. I got into a fight. Things got out of hand. I accidentally killed a guy. Would you be able to help me bury the body and hide the evidence? And I was like, oh, you're so-and-so's son? Of course I'll help you. And he helps him dig up the ground, hide the body inside, which was obviously something else, and wrapped around sheets, and then bury the shirt. And after they finished, he said, okay, now get away from here. I don't want to ever see you again. Tell your father I want to see him again. Pretend we never knew each other. So he comes back home. He says, Dad, wow, that's a great friend. He really helped me. He was there for me. Why do you call him only half a friend? So his father asked him, well, what did he tell you when he helped you? So he said, well, after he helped, he then said, get out of my house. I don't want to see you. I don't want to see your father again. He says, yeah, that's why he's half a friend. I mean, he was willing to help, but at that point, he was ready to sever the relationship. He didn't want to take any more risks. Didn't want this kind of thing to continue. Genuine friendship is very hard to acquire. So many of our relationships are based on convenience. Who you happen to be in school with, who you happen to work with, who you happen to live near. There's so many things that lack the depth and the meaning and the shared values that really are what help to create meaningful and lasting relationships. And a relationship is really defined by its weakest link. So if you have two people and let's say you love this guy and it's like you're just madly in love with him, but he doesn't acknowledge your existence, you don't have a loving relationship. You have no relationship. And if you love him and he likes you a little bit, so you have a liking of a little relationship. And if you love him and he likes you a lot, you have a very close friendly relationship. And if you love each other, then you finally have a loving relationship. Relationships are defined by their weakest link. Now, when it comes to our relationship with God, with our Creator, He has an infinite amount of love for each and every one of us. And therefore, we are the ones who define and determine our relationship with God. He loves us. He's there for us 24/7. And therefore, it's what we put into that relationship that ultimately determines what it looks like. So I want to give a blessing to each of us that we find the strength, the passion, the wherewithal, and the patience to invest in our relationships with our friends, with our parents, and with our Creator. Because at the end of the day, we can't change how other people treat us or affect what other people think of us. The one thing we do have control over is how we relate to others, what we invest in those relationships. And God willing, as we put in more effort to invest in those relationships, to try to build friendships with family and with friends that are based on shared values, that are based on meaning, that are based on real goals and real caring and love for one another, that we should be blessed by having others that invest in return in our relationships, that love us, that are there for us in our times of need through thick and through thin, and of course that God is always there watching after us.